A crazy winter weather pattern is developing right now, and this is setting the stage for an explosive stretch of winter storms. After days of record-breaking cold, we're about to see the other side of winter, as multiple intense winter storms could hit the same areas multiple times over the next week. Millions of people will see a minimum of 3 inches of snow, and some areas could see as much as 2 feet of snow, maybe even more. But snow is far from the only concern. While frigid air continues to lock down parts of the country with temperatures well below average, other regions are gearing up for a completely opposite weather pattern, with surging warmth that could challenge or even shatter record high temperatures. And when that warm air collides with bitter cold, the atmosphere becomes supercharged, and the threats will not just stop at snow. As these storms tap into warmer air just above the surface, freezing rain is going to become a real threat. Even 1/10 of an inch of ice can turn roads into sheets of glass, but some areas could see 1/4 of an inch or more, which is enough to bring down tree limbs and power lines. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about this very crazy weather pattern that is developing. And we have a lot to talk about in this forecast, including 4 different winter storms that are possible here over the next couple of weeks. I want to start off with what is happening this weekend, because this is our more notable winter weather event that's going to be taking place. This is going to be more of a Midwest, Ohio Valley, even Northeast event here over the next 48 hours, and it's all going to begin later today. By around lunchtime, we're going to start to see some moderate to heavy snowfall across parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, northwest Iowa, and northeast Nebraska, and this is going to fill into much of Iowa as we go into this afternoon. With snowfall rates as high as 2 inches per hour, we could actually see some areas pick up as much as 8 to 10 inches of snow later today. Picture here is 4 o'clock this afternoon. Snow will be blanketing from Des Moines back into northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. Even Minneapolis could see some light snow showers. Generally speaking, this is not going to be a large winter storm. However, we will see some winter storm conditions, especially in central and northern Iowa, where heavy bands of snow are likely tonight into early tomorrow morning. This pictured here is about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. That snow is going to continue to move through Iowa. We even could see some freezing rain out of this, which means ice accumulation is on the table in southeast Iowa near Davenport, back towards Springfield, Illinois. And then eventually, as we go into the overnight hours, that snow is going to be moving into the Windy City, Milwaukee, back into Michigan, northwest Indiana, and then eventually moving through Fort Wayne tomorrow morning. And notice how we could have some very heavy snowfall back over northern Indiana tomorrow morning, which means that if you have any travel plans tomorrow, definitely make sure that you're taking it slow on the roadways. Tomorrow afternoon, the heaviest of that snow is going to move into northeast Ohio near Cleveland, back into Pennsylvania, and then by the evening hours, the snow is going to start to wind down quite a bit. It's going to get a lot lighter across the northeast, but light snowfall will continue across Pennsylvania, New York, and then overnight, we're going to see some snowfall across parts of New England before this is all said and done. Now, in terms of total snowfall out of this event, we are expecting most significant accumulation to be located in northern Iowa, just to the north of Des Moines, and extreme southern Minnesota, where a widespread 4 to 8 inches of snow is in the forecast. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the totals were a little bit higher than this. I do think something closer to the 8 to 10 inch realm is a possibility. I don't think it's going to be this widespread, but I do think at least in northern Iowa that is going to be on the table. And then back through Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and northern Indiana, I'm at least expecting around 2 to 4 inches of snow, with some localized areas, especially around Milwaukee, near 6 to 7 inches of snowfall being a possibility. And then back through Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, a widespread coating to 2 inches of snow is on the table here over the next 48 hours. But again, we do have winter storm watches and warnings in effect now for much of Iowa and southern Minnesota, so definitely make sure that you're taking it slow on the roadways if you travel during when the heaviest snow is falling. Now, beyond this winter storm, we're going to have several more chances for significant snowfall in the United States, and one of the biggest reasons why is because our jet stream is going to continue to be oriented from the northwest, which is going to help to allow for very cold air to come out of Canada for the next 7 to 10 days. And on top of that, this is also going to help to basically bring a bunch of different Alberta Clippers into much of the United States. And these are all going to begin with our moisture that's back over in the Pacific Ocean. We're going to have some atmospheric river events that impact the Pacific Northwest over the next 5 to 7 days. And then once those move across the Northwest, they're going to make their way into the Northern Plains and the Upper Midwest by the middle and end of the week. And this is going to create several different chances for significant snow events. And I fully expect that this weather pattern will continue at least for the next 6 or 7 days. And the other thing I want to point out too is that this dip in the jet stream is going to promote very cold air to continue to spill into much of the United States. So for anybody east of the Rockies, we're going to continue to deal with very cold weather for this time of the year. And then anywhere along and west of the Rockies, this is a region that I would anticipate that we're going to continue to see above average temperatures, and even in some cases record-breaking high temperatures. And then by around December 15th and beyond that point, things get a lot more uncertain, but it looks like we are going to remain very cold across the Great Lakes in the northeast, northeast. This means elevated and really just in general higher snow chances will continue in these areas, and on top of that, it is going to remain cold, and we're talking about brutal cold all the way at least through the middle of December. Now, we have two big things to talk about for the rest of this forecast, one of which is the threat of snowfall over the next 7 to 10 days, and then the second thing being how cold it is going to be across much of the United States, with record-breaking cold continuing to be a threat, and then for some, record-breaking high temperatures. So we're going to begin with our future radar and dive deeper into the snowfall potential over the next week or two, and we really have 4 different winter storms to watch for, the first of which is over the next couple of days. That's today and tomorrow. We'll be dealing with some snowfall across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. We've already talked about this, but as we go into tomorrow, the snow is going to become a lot lighter as it moves into the Northeast. And then as we go into late Sunday and Monday, we are going to continue to have a really powerful atmospheric river event dump a lot of rain and snowfall across the Pacific Northwest. Our second shot of snow, which really won't be a winter storm, but our next chance of snow will be on Monday across the upper Midwest. This will bring some very light snowfall to areas like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Great Lakes. Very weak system, though. Overall, it'll be mostly just snow showers. And then as we go into Tuesday, this will likely be our next significant winter storm. I think this one has the potential to actually bring blizzard conditions to areas like Minnesota, North Dakota, and Wisconsin. This is what it looks like Tuesday evening. We have a lot of snow falling across Wisconsin and also parts of Minnesota, all those dark blues indicating heavy snowfall. Those isobars are also indicating very high wind speeds. We could have wind gusts as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour with this storm system. So if we end up having enough snowfall and this is a slow enough moving system, we could have a blizzard on Tuesday here in the Midwest. And then back over in the Pacific Northwest, a ton of moisture will continue to stream out of the Pacific Ocean, which is going to bring heavy rainfall and snow again to those higher elevation areas. And then as we go into late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, that winter storm will make its way across the Great Lakes and eventually towards the Northeast. It'll even be impacting areas like Ontario, Canada, for example, Wednesday morning. Another thing I want to point out is that as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, this is where uncertainty really starts to grow. But there is a potential that on Wednesday and Thursday, there may be enough moisture that comes over the Rockies that creates another winter storm Wednesday or Thursday here across parts of the central and northern plains in the Midwest. Now, the GFS model right now does not show this really turning into a winter storm. Instead, it just shows some light to moderate snowfall making its way across Iowa, back into Ohio and Pennsylvania late Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe some sort of winter storm characteristics here across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic on Thursday, but again, just too much uncertainty as of right now for that. And then by the end of next week, the uncertainty grows even more substantially. I mean, we're talking about very high uncertainty by Friday of next week, but we'll likely continue to see that moisture stream here over the Rockies, which should bring a bit more snow chances by around Saturday of next weekend. And then by the middle of December, things get a lot more uncertain, but one trend that we've been seeing on computer models over the last couple of days is that we could see the coldest weather that we've seen in a long time for much of the United States, and we're going to talk more about that here in just a moment. And these are your odds of seeing at least 3 inches of snowfall over the next couple of weeks. This is all the way through December 20th. Again, the odds are very high if you're in the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, or the Northeast. We are going to see several Alberta Clippers. Then further down to the south and the Central Plains, back through areas like the Ohio Valley, like the lower Ohio Valley. These are areas that we're not really expecting much snowfall. Again, we could always see an inch or two of snow, maybe even 3 inches in some spots here over the next couple weeks. We could get a rare little snow event that lines up perfectly from Oklahoma back through Tennessee. And keep in mind, we just saw that a couple days ago where we had this surprise winter weather event that happened from Oklahoma back into Tennessee and Virginia. That's entirely possible still over the next 15 days, but the odds of that are definitely low as of right now. Now, over the next 7 days, we will continue to see big shots of cold air in the United States, probably at least 2 more Arctic blasts before the middle of December, and our next one is expected to arrive late Saturday and Sunday. This is really going to be mainly impacting the northern plains and the upper Midwest on Sunday, with some areas like Minneapolis back towards Sioux Falls in South Dakota as much as 35 to 40 degrees below average, and then around and west of the Rockies back through the Gulf Coast. This is a region that will continue to stay just a little bit above average, not really record-breaking territory for most of you. And then Sunday into Monday, that cold air is going to make its way towards the Windy City. That is where we'll have areas as much as 40 degrees below average in southern Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, back through Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and even back through the Northeast Monday. That is where we're going to have very cold weather. Again, bitter cold here for this time of the year. And then by late Monday and Tuesday, that cold air is going to sit all across the Northeast. Even though it's a very quick moving area of cold air across the Midwest and the northern plains, it's going to kind of, stall basically along the East Coast Monday and Tuesday. So things will stay colder for a more extended period of time there. And then really hot weather is going to be developing in the Rockies and along the West Coast, with areas as high as 35 degrees above average. So 2 completely different situations here. We have the dividing line right through the Great Plains, and then east of that is where really cold air is going to continue, and then west of that is where we could have some record-breaking highs. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, warm air is going to make make its way into the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. We're going to flip the switch right back to warmer weather here for at least a day. And then as we go into Thursday, that cold air is going to come right back into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley with temperatures as much as 20 to 30 degrees above average. So there will be a really brief time period, which is Tuesday into Wednesday, where there will be some areas in the Midwest that make their way back up closer to 15 to 20 degrees above average. That means we could have upwards of a 60 to 70 degree temperature swing in areas like Iowa, Wisconsin, and even Illinois within only about a 48-hour time period. So pretty crazy stuff there. And then by Friday and Saturday of next weekend, that cold air is going to continue to linger all across the northern plains back through the mid-Atlantic. And then after that, things get a little bit more uncertain, but I do think an Arctic blast is a possibility in the middle of December. Where it happens is uncertain. The latest GFS model run is showing a much more significant shot of cold air over in the northeast, but that could change. It could come right back towards the Great Plains, and if that were to happen, it would be impacting way more people than what would be happening if it was a little bit further off to the east. And these are the forecasted temperatures over the next few days. Heading into Sunday morning, we'll have areas in the northern plains and the upper Midwest as low as 20 degrees below zero. That does include areas like Minneapolis and Sioux Falls. Monday morning will be even colder if you're back over in the Windy City, Iowa, or Wisconsin. Temperatures will fall below zero for many of you. Chicago's going to be lucky, though. We're actually going to be around 20 degrees or so in the city, and that is because it's right on Lake Michigan, and the wind is actually going to help to keep things warmer right along those coastal cities. And then by Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to have that warm air make its way all the way up into Illinois. Some areas could be well into the 40s, back over near Springfield, Chicago near 34 for high temperature on Tuesday. Des Moines, a little bit above freezing as well. We could actually have some areas near 70 degrees in southern Nebraska on Tuesday, so a little bit of a heat wave. But again, it's only going to last a day because our next shot of cold air will come in late Wednesday and Thursday. That's going to cool things down right again. And if you're back over in Wisconsin or Minnesota, many areas around or just below 0 degrees both Thursday and Friday. And then by next weekend, we'll continue to stay sub-zero for low temperatures for many areas in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Also, a big announcement before today's video is over. I am doing cameos for the holidays, which are personalized videos just for you, your friends, your family, and this can be used as a Christmas present. If you want me to say something specific, you can get one for a happy birthday, for a Christmas celebration, whatever it might be. So you can check this out again with the top link in the description below, or go to cameo.com/maxvelocitywx. These are going to sell really quick. I'm not going to do a ton this year, so if you want to get one, just make sure to click the top link in the description below. Otherwise, thank you guys all so much for watching today's forecast, and we'll see you all again in the next video, which will be back in the weather studio tomorrow.